Alright, so no matter how much we love Yu-Gi-Oh!, there's unfortunately some glaring issues with the TCG. And today I've decided to shed light on 5 important changes the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community wants to see happen that could potentially help with the success and longevity of the game as a whole. So I'm really excited to get into today's video, and I really just want this to be a discussion, just a back and forth between me and you guys. I also did a community post. I'm gonna be going through things that you guys actually said could help change things when it comes to TCG specifically. So please share your thoughts and let me know what are some problems you would like to see solved with this game. And yeah, like the video if you enjoy me doing these types of discussions. So let's go ahead and get started. For the first thing that most of the people said when I asked you guys what would be some changes you would like to see made is the price of the game. It's fairly obvious. I mean, at some point we have to talk about this, so I think it's best we make this the first topic on today's list. So yes, the rarities distribution, the prices, like just the short printing, rarity bumping of, you know, cards that are good, all of that. Obviously, we want to see some changes be made. What could be a potential solution is to look at the OCG and kind of adopt their rarity system. I think this is kind of tough to do because TCG and OCG are vastly different. In the OCG, there's a lot of games with which Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to compete. So naturally, they're trying to make the game just much more accessible for players, so they have something to come back for, you know. And with the TCG, we see these absurdly expensive formats like the one we find ourselves in right now, which, you know, they cannot just completely shift things like 180 degrees and just completely just adopt the rarity distribution like the OCG. It's not realistic because in the TCG, they have a lot of factors that we really have no idea about, and their sales actually matter a lot. So it's not like they're, you know, short printing cards just for the fun of it, but they actually have a reason. So what could be like, I don't know, I guess a halfway point or like a compromise we could find. And what I think would be really good is if they actually did not print all of the good cards to be secret rare or even ultra. What happened with Vicious, for example, like, yeah, Magnamut was not the most, you know, inexpensive super rare. It wasn't 20 cents. It was like €5, but still, it was €5 as opposed to €50 for a potential secret rare. And obviously cards go up and down in price. That's a whole nother topic. You know, you can buy into the hype, you can wait, you can be very strategic about it, you can do whatever you want. But I think it's, you know, it would be cool if they decided to print more cards that are actually good, possibly also generic, as not the highest rarity. We also saw this happen with Kashira Fenrir, which, yeah, it was a bit of an expensive card, but what could also be solved is their actual distribution, meaning they don't short print cards as much. And obviously they say that this is not a thing anymore, that, you know, short prints shouldn't really be happening, but we all know that that's not really the case, especially when it comes to side sets. So in my opinion, some things could be solved. We cannot completely adopt a new rarity system, but they are trying with some of the reprints, which is actually the next, I guess, topic I want to talk about today. The next important change we could see hopefully be made in the future is faster reprints. I think it's kind of insane that sometimes you see like a good card not have a reprint for 2 years plus, especially if it came from a side set. Like, just think about Baron and how much we all hated the fact that it was like an $80 card because you could not get your hands on it, and we saw no reprint. And I guess here I do have to give some props to Konami. They are trying with the rarity collection, with some Battles of Legends sets and all of that. But I think what's the main issue is the fact that a lot of times they're just going to shove everything into these reprint sets that doesn't really need a reprint. Like, why would we need like a random archetype to get rarity bumps when the archetype is probably cheap regardless? But they just ignore some cards that spiked for a fact, but they kind of refuse to, I guess, listen to us. So I think faster reprints could solve a lot of issues. And of course, it's not that easy to print a set, but they did print the like rarity collection in the fall, pretty much, like end of last year. And we are getting a new one very soon. So once they saw the success of that set and they decided to get on that, immediately we're getting a new set. So it is not impossible. They literally proved it. So in my opinion, we could maybe see less of random side sets that don't really do that much. And, those slots could be given to actual reprints. Like, I totally get that you have to have side sets and new archetypes introduced and all of that. But a lot of times I just feel like the reprint slots are wasted. We see this with OTS packs all the time. It's actually absurd how bad a lot of times, OTS packs are. And not talking about OTs, that's, something completely different, but with some of the supers and commons, the spots could be utilized much, much better. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know if there's like a card right now that you just desperately want to see a reprint of. I could probably think of a couple, but hopefully we see some reprints very, very soon. So let's talk about the next topic. A lot of people said, and myself included, I'm definitely in this camp, I think we need more support for alternate formats. And it doesn't mean just reprints of cards and like actual physical support, if you know what I mean, but actual events and them caring about alternate formats. And again, they are taking some steps in the right direction. Obviously, we see like the 3v3 YCS was, had an interesting concept of including some alternate formats there. And there's all of these Time Wizard events at YCSs, but I just feel like they don't really put a lot of thought into that. And they don't really seem to care that much. But what would be insanely cool is if they actually pushed like regional events and like a specific YCS for Edison format or something like that. And there's a lot of other ones, there's literally Go that people love. I personally don't really enjoy it, but that's besides the fact. There's Hat format, Tango Plant, also Toss, and some of the formats that are kind of recent, but people still really enjoy and would enjoy them as alternate formats. You could have events specifically for that. And then I guess in connection with that, you could also have good pricing, because I think it's very useless that you go to like a low-cost, Edison low-cost, for example, or like an event where your pricing is current packs. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Or like a random playmat from, I don't know, a couple months back from like a structure deck that dropped like 3 months ago. I think it's very sad that they don't purposely print actual pricing, outside of nationals. Obviously at Nats, you were supposed to get like a specific mat and specific pricing, but I think it would just be really cool if, for example, you have like GOAT format, is this YCS or whatever, and then the pricing would actually make sense with GOAT formats. So yeah, you guys can also elaborate and expand when it comes to this in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, but I just think it's insane that they don't really seem to care about hosting these types of events when people would really, really, really care about going to those. I think, I would be elated to see like an event, like for example, I don't know, Germany, a random Edison big event or something. Like it would just be really cool, and for it to actually be official, meaning Konami actually cares about it, like that would be amazing. Also, when it comes to that, obviously reprints for some of the older cards that spiked in price, I think we would need like not necessarily specific sets, because I don't know how well that would sell, but if you have like a set with reprints and then you still dedicate some slots to like Edison or GOAT or whatever, I think that could work. We saw Delinquent Duo getting reprinted in like a Kaiba set some years ago, and it was very well received. Like no one complained about a banned card getting a reprint because we actually needed it. And I think that's an example they could follow in the future. As for some of the other things on today's list, one of them is Mulligan. Like, that's just, we don't need to talk about this for very long. Let me know what you think. I would kind of love to, see a hand and be like, oh, this sucks. Let me just draw 5 new cards. So I would kind of be down for that, because it's terrible to lose to a brick. And sometimes your deck building is at fault there. But still, I feel like, sometimes it is just not your fault. And it really, really, really sucks when that happens. So let me know if you would actually be down to have a mulligan in Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. And as for the last thing, probably one of the most important ones, but you could argue all of them are really important in today's video, the ban list. Now, everything when it comes to the ban list, to have exact dates, to have a ban list that actually makes sense, it doesn't hit cards like 2 months after it's past its prime pretty much, and better communication when it comes to Konami and the players. So yeah, I would love an actual date for a ban list. The OCG has it, and I think it would be fair to also give us an exact date. It doesn't need to be 6 months apart, or it could be. It's literally whatever. There's negative and also positive things about having 6-month rotation, I guess, or whatever, because you could invest into decks and know you're gonna play them for some time, but it could also get stale. So let me know what you think about that as well. But one of the most important things, I think, is to just have better communication with Konami. It is terrible that they don't actually talk to us, that they never really explain their decisions when it comes to the ban list, because, they can't say, oh, we banned this because we just need a new expensive archetype to sell. They cannot say this to us. So they just opt to not have communication at all, which I think is also wrong. So yes, a lot of things I think need fixing, and the ban list is among them. But let me know what you think of this video, if I made some points that maybe make sense to you. If you agree or disagree, I would love to have a discussion with you guys in the comments. And also like it if you did enjoy it. I would love to do more discussions like this, to just talk about the game and to talk about how it could be preserved and just made as popular and as successful as possible, because we all do enjoy playing it. But like I said in the intro, some issues unfortunately are there, and we cannot avoid talking about them, and perhaps we see some changes in the future. So hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!